G'day everybody, Craig Cobb of TRADERCOBB.com here with another installment of our crypto news of the week. And this week it's going to be somewhat of a bit of a rant from me talking about other old men that are having a rant about our market. Yes, I am going to talk about policy making, the people involved in that process, the age of these people, and just people yelling at Bitcoin because it's bad for the central banks. Oh, what have they done for you lately? They've screwed you with inflation. That's what they've done. So let's get into it. Of course, we know earlier in the year, China banned Bitcoin for the, 757th time. Oh, shock horror. The miners have run, they've bailed out. And the question was, who is going to pick up the slack when it comes to the hash rate? And we have a bit of an answer. It looks as though the US of A has stepped up to the plate. And it's kind of interesting in my eyes because when it comes to an ICO or an ideal, these certain things that normal countries, I'll call Australia a normal country. I don't know if that's the truth anymore, to be honest with you. Anyway, other countries are allowed to invest in these rounds, these, ICO type rounds, but not if you're in the US. So they're forward thinking in some areas, but highly regulated and highly, no, the people can't decide in other areas as well. But when it comes to Bitcoin mining and energy consumption and hash rate, they're good. So let's have a look at what's going on here. It says, obviously, this is on Cointelegraph. US dominates the Bitcoin hash rate distribution after China crackdown. Now we see Kazakhstan and Russia coming in up the rear. That sounds weird. That sounds very weird. Sorry, US, that wasn't what I meant. And you can see that with Kazakhstan, we're at 18% of the hash rate, closely matched there by Russia on 11%. But mostly, we're seeing the US account for 35.4% of our hash rate. Is this a good thing? Well, time will tell. One of the things that is a little bit concerning over there in the US is how quickly, policymakers want to, in some sentences, slash, crash, and burn crypto, digital assets, and web version 2, version 3, whatever you want to call it. I think crypto needs a rebrand, to be honest. We'll cover that in a moment. But they seem, on one hand, to be saying how terrible things are, and on the other hand, saying, we don't want to ban Bitcoin. So when it comes to the hash rate here and the mining wars and what's going on there and the stability of Bitcoin, and to not have so much of this volatility coming around another China ban, I think the US is a good place because they have made it quite clear they have got no desire to ban Bitcoin. Regulation, on the other hand, we'll get to that in just a minute. So yes, Bitcoin in the US is super duper. And it's working. Okay, now on to another Cointelegraph article. VC firm 16Z pursuing crypto lobbying push in Washington. Now, this is how things get done. And if this is new to you, well then, shock horror. Strap yourself in, put your seatbelt on. There are people out there called lobbyists. Lobbyists get paid by the corporations that have lots of money and lots of desire to make more money for their products. Now, lobbyists go into places like, for example, if you're a mining company, perfect example, Australia. So there's this thing in Glasgow coming up where the whole world is going to talk about climate change, okay? They're all there to discuss climate change and the need for us to stop burning so many fossil fuels. And look, to me, I don't care if you think that global warming's real or global warming's not. That's not the point. The point is, have you been to China? Have you been to a city that is so covered in smog? Because it's not because it's raining. It's not because the world created that and it's a natural thing that's occurring. No, it's because there's a shit ton of fossil fuels being burnt and it makes the place horrible. It's humid. It smells. It's dirty. You get this sheen of soot on a bad day. Same in LA. These things happen in different parts of the world, especially in those humid conditions where there's not a lot of wind. Now, if we can eliminate some of that, would that not be a positive thing? I think it would be. So think of the realities of that. This is not about a conversation of, is climate change real? Is climate change not real? It's a point I'm making about lobbying. Everyone in the world has gone out to, or is on their way to Glasgow. The Australian Prime Minister, look, I've forgotten his name, he's been that vacant. He's probably off in Hawaii or something. I'm not quite sure what he's doing. I think he's making curry on his barbecue or something. The guy's a Fruit Loop. Anyway, go Scotty from marketing. My point being, he doesn't seem to think, until last week, of course, that climate change is anything that we need to talk about. But why? Why does the whole world say this is a very important meeting? And the Australian Prime Minister goes, no, it's not. We've got to make it some more coal mines go on there, brother. We need some jobs for guys with mullets, and that's okay. That's okay. Men with mullet need jobs. So do women with mullets. Not a problem. But there are better ways of getting jobs. Why do we, as Australia, as an economy, have such rely so deeply on fossil fuels and burning these sorts of things? Because we've got a shit ton in the ground. It's an easy way of doing it. It's a lazy business option. We could be a leader in renewable energies, but it's the lobbyists, you see, that go in there and push these things forward. Now, whether or not the outcome of the lobbyists is an outcome that is good for society, if the lobbyists win, it's just about always a really good thing for whatever industry that is. Step forward this article. A long walk around, I know, but you get the point. Funnily enough, it says Anthony Albanese. We have an Albanese. Don't know what he's doing either. He's the leader of the opposition. Wouldn't have a clue what he does. He doesn't try very hard. Anyway, so what we've got here is we've got lobbyists marching their way into Washington to try and convince the policymakers that cryptocurrency and digital assets, what they're calling Web 3.0, Good. If we call it something that the old people understand, maybe they'll start to understand that it's something that's coming and it ain't going away. Now, why are these old people needing this? Why have we got a rebrand for these old policymakers? Because they're old. Flip over here. Average age of US senators, 64.3. That is 64.3 years old. That's the average age. That means there's a few up there that are basically... Remember Skeletor in, what was that? I can't remember the show, but basically a dead person, a bag of bones, making decisions for us, the people. So it's good that they're getting in there and making sense of this. It'll depend on how hard they push, and it'll depend on what result they get as to what we see go forward. But what we see here, in a Web 3.0 policy document issued on Wednesday, the VC firm argued for better regulatory standards for the new internet paradigm, stating the easiest way to lose out on all of this potential is to treat Web 3 as if it were a monolith. Very good analogy. Policymakers should focus on calibrating regulatory activities to the specific applications and their associated risks. Treating all digital assets the same is like having a single regulatory framework for stocks, real estate, cars, art, watches, and trading cards. You need policy that's fit for purpose. So it's the beginning. It's not the end of the beginning. It is the beginning, the very start of the push to get policymakers to wake up. And as I've said before, crypto has come in for some negative comments from policymakers in Washington, with the prevailing rhetoric being that digital assets require more regulatory oversight because you can't do things without us knowing. Don't forget that. On a very similar vein, so we go from the US, now we jump across to the Bank of England, which is a very interesting system if you actually have a look into that. The Bank of England and the City of London, in fact, it's a very small square mile inside of the city where lots of hoity-toity, I went to this school, I'm an Eton boy with ruffled hair, and I know Boris Johnson and all this, top of the morning to you stuff. That goes on in that area. The pubs are great. They're full of people that have got a lot of problems. The Bank of England is saying here that crypto has grown to twice the size of the subprime debt in 2008, because this is the problem, you see. It is the fact that crypto has grown that could take away all the good, all the good that they've done to fix since the subprime mortgage crisis. I mean, of course they haven't just printed more money, offered more lending, and driven property prices through the roof, which is our biggest debt for individuals that is held by banks and held by institutions that are printing more money, and so on. The cycle continues. It's not that. It's a $2.4 trillion market called cryptocurrency. Can you believe it? Can you? That's called gaslighting. What a load of absolute rubbish. A $2.3 trillion market against a $250 trillion financial system globally. But the Bank of England is doubling down on that and says that regulation should be pursued as a matter of urgency, and quoted the SEC chair, swinging back off the roof, back over to America again, Gary Gensler's recent comment that financial innovations throughout history do not flourish outside public policy frameworks. Yes, because history has served us so well, because we learn from history. We learn so much from history that we repeat it. I know what will fix subprime mortgage crisis. Let's keep printing money. Let's keep printing trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars and over leverage the heck out of everything. And then say that crypto is the problem. It's like someone dying of a heart attack and you're saying, well, they had one big toe that had a nail too long. That's the cause of the issue, don't you know? It's ridiculous. But here's the thing, and the reason that I'm bringing this to your attention. They're talking of this. This is something that is being discussed, not only at the Bank of England, but of course over on the other shores across the ditch or across the cable in the US of A as well. These are two massive superpowers. We're talking about England, the Bank of England, and we're talking about the United States of America. It is going to come down to their policy decisions that is going to help to mold and grow our space or subdue it. I say subdue because they can't stop it. And that, welcome to crypto. What a beautiful thing. Another one, the IMF. Hello. The IMF, the International Monetary Fund. Here's them weighing in. So another big player. And again, I'll reverse back as to why this is important. You've got the US Senate. We've got lobbyists in there now. They're sort of seemingly sitting on the fence a little bit, which is okay. The Bank of England going, oh, let's blame everybody else. We'll keep printing money. We'll keep getting our massive bonuses and God save the Queen, right? That's what they're saying. The IMF, which is an interesting place as well, is saying that cryptozation, I don't even know how to say that word, the word in front of you, a threat to the global economy. The global economy. Now we know, based off of the last article, that the global financial system is worth some $240 trillion. That's just the global financial industry. But the whole global economy must be in a number above a trillion. It must be above the trillion. Let's say it's a billion trillion. Let's say it's a billion trillion. But it's $2.3 trillion market cap in crypto. That's the problem. We've got to be safe. We've got to make sure that people don't have any choice, because what they're releasing here is that the Global Financial Stability Report is talking about this cryptozation. To the use of digital currency by a country carries significant risks and is an inadvisable shortcut, said in your best gobble turkey chin whilst puffing on a cigar and drinking Pimm's, to boost their financial economies. Again, what a load of poppycock, just to use a phrase out of their phrasebook. To move forward on, to avoid the risks of cryptozation, the report suggested countries enact policies that could help curtail growing crypto demand, including strengthening monetary policy, safeguarding the independence of central banks, and implementing effective legal and regulatory measures to desensitize foreign currency use, said the toadfish. Tip the hat. So essentially what the IMF is saying is crypto is bad because we don't have a hole in it. Central banking good, cryptocurrency bad. Central banking massive leverage, keep printing a constant supply, no cap on it at all. Cryptocurrency also can have that, but double down on the Bitcoin and we got 21 million with about 3 to 4 million lost. We know how many are going to come out over the next 20 years or 15 years or whatever it is for the mining process. Inflation? No. Inflation in the current monetary policy, big time. But tell me, how much better off is Venezuela because they didn't move across to Bitcoin and do what El Salvador did? I'd say not very well off. Their monetary policy, I mean, look, for the IMF to come out and say, Here's how you get your people to not worry about cryptocurrency, not be involved. What you got to do, you see, is you've got to get your monetary policy sweet, mate. You've got to make sure that you're making heaps of money as a country and everyone's prosperous and doing real well and you've got great healthcare and all that. Then they'll just avoid cryptocurrency and they'll just stick with the central banking system. That's going to be pretty awesome plan for a third world country that has none of the above. Oh, an IMF, did you fund that country? Are you helping them? Unlikely, probably not, just plundering their natural resources. So crypto bad, again, central banks, regulatory, old people, old plan, the same system, good. Tell I'm a bit pumped on this one. So essentially, there you go. We've got old people shouting stupid things at what is unstoppable. It is akin to the internet as it arrived. Oh, ho, 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 nobody will ever use that because, oh, how will I ever write my dear Deirdre a letter and send it on the interweb? Mate, get with the times, they are changing. I believe that the use of the word Web3 is a much better way for us and for these for the regulators and whatnot to get their head around, and for the boomers and for the oldies and for all the old people that are running countries and running these policies. I think Web3 sounds more familiar than cryptocurrency. I think it takes what this landscape is, because it is a layer of the internet. Without the internet, we can't have digital assets. Without the internet, we also can't have anything, really. We go back to chopping down trees for firewood and, you know, farming and hunting and growing our own food. And holy shit, can we go back to that, please? Can we just get rid of the internet? I'll get rid of Bitcoin. That's fine. Let's go farming and fishing every day. What am I doing here? That's the news. I didn't expect it to end like this. Have a great day. I got some questions. Bye for now.